Typically, education is linked to economic growth. In other words, the education system is a factory for our human capital, who in turn build the economy. Instead, we see in the Nigerian education system the following gaps: inadequate investment, a lack of practical and entrepreneurial skills in our graduates, and a need for a more modern and relevant curriculum that promotes innovation and critical thinking in our students. We haven't even begun to speak of the need to future-proof our learning along the lines of artificial intelligence to match global standards. We need to rework our educational system to become more relevant to our economic and industrial needs, and we need to do so as a matter of urgency. There should be more emphasis on trade subjects and machine tool fabrications on the skills acquisition level. We also need to exploit our areas of need. For example, I learned from a friend of mine who's a senior oil and gas executive that we don't even have the advanced welding skills for oil and gas pipelines. To weld pipelines in a manner that will be suitable for the oil and gas sector, we have to bring expatriates there. I think that's a potential low-hanging fruit. We need to be intentional about developing the necessary skill sets to properly engage our economy and provide much-needed employment opportunities for our burgeoning youth population. Some of the steps we should be taking towards education reform are to modernize our curriculum to include practical and vocational courses that equip the students with skills needed in the workplace. In line with these, we will be looking at building greater links to industries, such as the oil and gas sector, that have the capacity to provide employment for these student graduates. Court investment from both public and private sectors, especially those that stand to gain from a well-trained and equipped graduate stream. The backbone of our curriculum and learning should be one of encouraging innovation, research, and original solutions. Essentially, if we are to work backwards from needs to solution, we would find that our education system should and ought to be the natural, homegrown solution to the needs of the nation and beyond, both today and in the future. Elsie, there's still a bit more passion from that last one.
Bring the fire.
I mean, your advocacy is spot on. There's nothing to add or remove. It's a lot. It's something that has been talked about over and over again. I don't know why updating our curriculum, if I can use that word, is such a big challenge to the people in charge of education. It's something that should be done yearly. In fact, at this rate, with how technology is moving and everything is going, it's almost, you should even consider that each term you think about what to add or what to remove and how are we positioning ourselves, and also ensuring that, like I said earlier, the product of this education can stand tall globally, right? So I hope that someone would finally listen, because I mean, of course, you have to work with the time frame, but there are so many of our sectors. I think I talked about when Fashola was the Minister of Housing, when he talked about not just the rails that need to be built and all, but also having people that are Nigerians that understand these projects. Not that every time we want to build things of this magnitude, it has to be foreigners, from the contractors to even the very handymen that can cause job provision for us as a people, right?
You see, there's something you said earlier today, where you said you became more communal because of your secondary school. I feel like YWAP, this is a youth group I joined called Youth with a Purpose, and it was I joined it very early when I was in second university. And that really shaped my ideology, because we would travel to like rural communities and we would create different solutions. And that shaped me, and I hate the fact that I'm like that. I'm just serious, because it's stressful. Because like I'm carrying the burden of this country on my head. And I'm like, I wish I didn't meet YWAP, because I probably would just be like as selfish as everybody else.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of people that are selfish, and most of them are in leadership positions.
Most of them, yeah.
The largest employers of labor are the 93% SMEs. 93%, not the oil company. They are 3%. Understand that there's more funding that go to university education, that at the end of the day, the number of people that can employ people who are in that space is just 3%. And people are not retiring anytime soon. So you have 500,000 people graduating every single year only to come out and become unemployed. And then we're also doing student loan for them to also now take loan and then come out and be unemployed. But let's not even go into that. So the SMEs, who are the highest employers of labor, there's a huge part of it that's informal. So we have, at Create Africa, we've stopped training because we don't have a training problem. We've trained over 40,000 people. The problem I'm having right now is getting them jobs. Now, are jobs available? Yes. I mean, you're wearing a nice outfit. All of us are wearing it. They're all made in Nigerian tailors, right? I mean, you have your hair done. Somebody did your makeup today. Those are jobs, but those jobs are informal, which means there's no hierarchy, there's no growth, there's no career growth. If you're working in a formal system and you get employed here, you can write different programs and then you can get employed to a point, you can get promoted so you get to director level or probably even become PAMSEC. Where is that in that space? Right? So the informality, so basically what I'm trying to say in essence is skills is not working for the people who already have them. So why are we trying to train more people to go into a space that doesn't even work for the people that already have the skills?
Okay.
The first thing we have to do is to restructure, put a structure in place where, first of all, there has to be what we call the work permits. Every single person, whether you are a hawker, it's happening in Rwanda. For you to even hawk something, you need a permit. Once you have that work permit, the work permit requires you for you to have a level certification, which gives you a level. And that level determines how much you're paid. And if you want a higher level, you go and do a certification program. Once we have that structure in place, then people can know that if I learn plumbing, at some point, I should be earning this amount of money. It happens all over the world, but in Africa, it doesn't. So before we start talking about the skills, and to bring more people into the employment, the job market, let's first of all structure the job market. Let it be beneficial to the people who already are there. Let's see growth, and young people on their own will figure out a way to learn the skills.
You mentioned entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship has been added to the curricula at the undergraduate level. Vocational subject has been added at the secondary level. But we have a huge talent gap across all sectors that we are not bridging enough. There is a dearth of soft skills in our graduates, from communication to critical thinking, decision making, and this stems from our knowledge transfer style, which is largely oppressive. There is no room for individual expression or creative thinking. Rather, you are expected to regurgitate what it is you have been taught in class. And that is like where the genesis of most of the issues we have, both at the talent level, in the workplace, and also in the way we engage with authority.
In terms of the curriculum, we're getting there because I can see from the Minister of Education that is trying to revamp the curriculum. So vocation is there right now, and then we can see the effort. They're bringing history back and some other all these other things. And Nigeria already has that process where companies are required under the ITF regulations to take certain number of people right from the university. But the problem is that whole process has been bastardized, and it has now become almost like a privileged rental system where I only bring in somebody that I know or somebody that is able to do certain things for me. And I think that what we can do is manage that system in such a way that there's guaranteed internship. So we have a quota system, for instance, that says that limits the number of expatriates a company can bring into Nigeria at any given point in time. And even those expatriates, they must have...
Justified.
And they must be justified, and they must have as their assistants Nigerians so that they can learn what they are doing and you don't have to replace them. Guess the people who are subverting that system? Nigerian companies themselves. And guess who is helping them? The Nigerian immigration system itself. So really, the truth is that a lot of the things that we're talking about, we already have the framework of it. We just need, as a nation, to be able to wake up and say to ourselves, do we want a functioning country or do we want one of chaos that doesn't work at all?
So one of the key things I think we need to do, and I'm speaking directly to the authorities now, is machine tool fabrication and use. Because machine tools are the machines that make the machines.
Yeah.
No country can move towards industrialization without getting that right.
Yeah. You're right.
So how are we going to build cars, the tools that are going to be required, the machines that are going to drive agriculture, or even the cranes. So China embarked on that in a big way from the 80s to the 90s. So now in the 2000s, they are the most advanced in the world. And it creates millions of blue-collared works. Let's not kid ourselves. The universities and products are not the ones who develop the economy. Through vocational trade and machine tool training and use and application, they will create the machines that will make the machines that we need so that we're not import dependent on the tools that we need for industrialization. I think that's very important. So for those who are sincerely seeking a solution, the pathway isn't hidden. Or as they say, is it rocket science?